so nice to be here, everyone. And obviously, I know some of you, and for those that I don't, I feel like I hope I do after this session, because I think what's really important, I think what's blown, and Holly's in the discussion as well, by the way, she's here, and I feel like we're equals in this journey of being female tech founders and mothers. One thing that I found incredibly helpful in the tech landscape is network. And the network can be overwhelming because LinkedIn gets you super connected with everyone. In fact, a lot of people you don't even want to be connected with you, I guess. And then people that are really helpful, that support you with authentic networking and authentic events, and professional service people that will help you on that next level. Because, I didn't come from a tech startup world. I came from a legacy business. So my background was legal. I worked for quite a big travel business in Manchester, and it went through a big digital transformation, of which I helped to head up. And so I've definitely been exposed to the tech landscape, can speak a bit of a tech, would absolutely always ask the questions about, well, what does that mean? And how is that built? I would really make sure I didn't care about what I looked like or what I sounded like. I would always push the boundaries here. I want to understand it because I want to understand how it then works in the bigger space. And I think that really helps, because financial, I never set out to be a tech founder. I never set out to build a tech business. Some people do. Some people actually are born to be entrepreneurs and just want to set up a business. But actually, I discovered a problem, and every product book I'd ever come across or read, or business book, I felt like I was living out my book in 20 years, which is, there's a problem and no one else is fixing it. And for me personally, it was finances. It was the fact that professionals gatekeep personal finance advice to those that earn enough money or have enough wealth. So there's a massive financial advice gap. And I went on my own money journey, where I went from having nothing left at the end of every month, even though I had a graduate salary, to actually doing really well with money and showing friends and family how to manage it, even if you're not on a big salary. And when the pandemic hit, we just felt that the Instagram page that we started was overwhelmed, and it then transitioned into Holly saying, you need to build a product. And this was a PDF. So if you think of really early stage MVP, we had a PDF which looked, quite frankly, like a dissertation. It was awful. People paid £50 for it. So 500-600 people paid us £50 for a PDF and an Excel spreadsheet, which any of my former financial planners would die if they saw how basic it was. But it proved this need. If you think about stepping into the world of tech, and especially if you're not from an engineering background or a problem-solving background necessarily when it comes to tech, starting with something simple and having the confidence to test it out. Even then, I think in my head I always thought it could be a platform, but it was just a written product. But it actually started off, Financial was an Instagram page, and I've scrolled down all the way down to the bottom. You can actually do this on Financial on Instagram. This says, today, baby girl, we're going to change the world. And where that came from was, I was on maternity leave when Financial started. So I was in employment, had the baby at home, was a little bored, was used to doing 60 hours a week, and at the beginning they don't really do much. That changes, obviously. And I decided to set up an Instagram page which was speaking to especially women directly about money. So cutting through the crap, cutting through the overwhelm. Martin Lewis is wonderful, but he has 14,000 pages on his website. So if you want to know how to juggle your budget, your spending, holidays, gifts, beauty, credit cards, and I'd quite like to own a home one day, I devised a way of making that simple for people to do. Since going on this journey, Holly and I get angry every single day. I've just actually done a story on Instagram, which was some research that was released, I think, by AJ Bell. There's a £1.65 trillion investment gap in the UK alone between men and women. I mean, that's a lot of zeros. I don't know if you've ever tried to write down trillion, but I was counting on my fingers how many zeros that is. That's why we exist, because we're never going to even make inroads to close that unless we find a product and develop a solution that tells people they've got a problem even if they don't know they've got one. So we've got to start at the very beginning. So we think about a customer life cycle. We decided to build a product that goes right to the very beginning of someone's journey and teaches them the basics. They nail the basics, then they move on to the next bit and the next bit. And this is why we call it the couch to 5K. And so that's our product, but it started on maternity leave, when really, you're feeling the burden of becoming a mother, providing for someone else, wondering about what future would be like with them. I mean, the financial playbook, which is this step-by-step plan, was in my head because I kept thinking, if something happened to me, does my husband understand this shit? Like, does he know that my girls need to know this? Like, I want them to have a book, and it's not a book, it's an app, but I want them to have it so that they could follow it and they would understand it when they're older. And, you know, touch wood, still here and absolutely fine and nothing's happened. But as a mum, you just do have these worries. And so that's actually where the inspiration came from. As we transitioned to life as then a business owner, so the minute it did really well, Holly and I had a chat, and you know, my specialism is product and customer need, and Holly's is commercial and partnerships. And so I said, do you want to go in this with me? Like, I'm not building a lifestyle business here. We do it. This is to go really big. And I think that's an important point to know. I think what's really hard in the female business space is women in business, and this is, I don't mean to be disrespectful, but I do speak directly, is usually associated with MLM, social media manager, content creator or writer. And I'm not playing down these roles, but they're not businesses. They're not businesses with people and teams and structure and pressure in that sense. And actually, there's a lot more pressure to being a solo creator, I think, than having a wonderful team around you. That's all that you would see. You would never see. And some people do that because they think it gives them freedom, but actually sometimes a job gives you great freedom and benefits and salary and reliability, especially as you're being a mother. So it's a really hard space deciding as a mother and or just as a woman where you go with your time and whether you should build a business. So we decided that there was a product need, there was a gap. We seemed to have a basic solution to it. And everyone we spoke to just backed the idea massively. And so we used all revenue from the business to bootstrap, again, a really simple app that we outsourced the dev of. So we project managed it, we tested it. It's now live. It was live in the App Store in October. It's a free app with a premium element. And so we're probably like only a quarter on or 4 months on from app launch, and it's really, really exciting. The realities of that, though, of being a female tech founder and having kids at home, we've got 4 kids between Holly and I, 2 girls, 2 boys. Holly's youngest, Woody, is a complete pandemic baby. I mean, he was 1 in lockdown. So I remember having a sign in this window here saying Woody is 1, and because everyone was doing walks, weren't they? No one could go and see each other. And so having to manage strategy and problem solving and things crashing and Instagram stories, which was our main lead gen at the time, when you literally have the kids at home, upset, confused, hungry, it's really, really difficult. It was much better, obviously, when children went back to school and we could get a bit more structure, but we're still principally at home. We have an office in Manchester. We're really lucky to be part of the bonded warehouse scheme. So we have an office there with Tech Nation until August. And that helps to bring in some structure because, again, you know, it's a serious business that we're building and our partners really respect that. We also had the pressure of deciding, how do you fund a business if you're not going straight in for seed funding or pre-seed? How do you kind of pay yourselves? I guess we followed our plan. So we feel financially well. We took steps before choosing to leave a career. Again, as a mother, the pressure of deciding, is this right or not? Is this a gamble? We took steps to build an emergency fund, reduce our expenses. We can live on very little and still be very happy. And we're very fortunate that our partners have stable incomes. They weren't the breadwinners. I think a lot of people presume, oh, that's good that your husband kind of lets you play around with this business. And you go, hang on a minute, like we had a big drop when I left work. And these are all things that from the outside, people have assumptions about how relationships and finances work. But luckily, we've got a really supportive family and a really supportive backing. And it is about boundaries, because when it's your business, it's really hard to switch off. So having to create time slots and structure and, you know, trying not to be online in the morning before school and nursery, because it is like Piccadilly Circus in the house and who's going where and this, that and the other. And then when there's a big solid gap during the day, and I do find myself sometimes saying, if I'm feeling a little bit underproductive, I always think, especially the youngest is at nursery, she doesn't need to be, she could be at home, but you're paying for her to be in nursery today. So go make that dollar and make use of your time, because it's as I call it solo tech founders, there's 2 of us, but there's not a wider team yet. Our team's outsourced, so it's only when we want them to work, they work. it's all on you to decide how productive you're going to be and what outputs you're going to drive that day. And then the back end of the day, we tend to be really good at switching off, more because at the beginning I was just at the computer and I felt that the kids would come up and I'd be like, yeah, 1 minute, 1 minute, 1 minute. And it's just not effective work. You're not doing deep, good work. And you're also not giving them the time and attention. So then as a female, you go on this downward spiral of, am I doing the right thing? Am I being a good mom? Am I being a good business owner? It's not imposter syndrome. I'm not confident on the term imposter syndrome, but it certainly is this, can you please everyone? What's the right thing to do today? And certainly, you know, working effectively and having mini power hours. And Holly had a great day the other day with a ridiculously time blocked day. Like her diary, I was like, I'm not sure when I'm going to be able to speak to it all, but she was, and then the next day she'd not done it and she really felt the difference. So being really organized and allowing time in your business and out of your business and switching off has definitely helped us to be much more effective. And the other thing that I think is important as female founders with or without children is to support each other, because you know, having the benefit of being in some small WhatsApp groups. Oh, sorry, someone's gone off mute. Manoj, I think it might be you.
Yeah, also Natalie's got the power to mute people, so
that is strong power.
She does wield it well.
Yeah, being in groups like this, being in WhatsApp groups, also not being afraid to ask for help from fellow female founders, because what we have found and hacked by having fellow females has been much more advantageous than some of the time males. We've got some great male champions in our corner, but I think there's not a deep empathy. So that next level, you know, we've got a friend, a fellow female founder who is going to be going for some surgery, and so she's going to be out of action for a few weeks physically. And Holly and I were having a chat, and I told her a story about a great girl to follow on Twitter if you don't follow her. Kristen, I don't know her surname. She's the founder of an app called Catch in the US. It is a employee. In fact, in a minute, I'll put it in the chat if no one can find it once I stop speaking. She's a really inspirational female founder. She's a new mum. She's had a baby. It's an employee benefits. It's a self-employed benefits app. So for in the US, when you've not got things like insurance and your tax, her app manages it. And she was raising pregnant, and she documented that journey. She made it very. It was hard enough for females in corporate life to kind of admit to your boss that you're pregnant, and then are you going to judge me that I'm not going to take my work seriously, and am I going to be welcome back, and all these issues. Imagine if you're a founder and you've just raised 7 figures, and then you confess to your investor that you may be pregnant. I mean, it's ridiculous if you think about it that you would even worry, but actually it's a real thing. Anyway, the story goes, and I think it's down her Twitter feed, that a fellow female founder, a friend of hers, messaged her to say, you are taking a 6-week maternity leave minimum and I will cover your business for you. And she was a big CEO. This wasn't just like her mate that may sell Arbonne on the side. Like, this was a fellow tech founder who stepped in, and I was like, oh my gosh, that is ultimate, because this woman is trying to, she was moving to New York, she started a business, she's got seed funding, and she's doing all this, and she's pregnant, and you know, you want to be relaxed and not stressed. Actually, you want to enjoy those first few weeks. How wonderful this fellow female to go, I've been there, I know what that's like, I'll step in. And I said to Holly, what a wonderful concept. And if more of us could help each other, that peer-to-peer kind of, do you want an office hours meeting with me? I'll show you what I know, you share what I know. It just helps you hack your way forward. And some of the fellow tech founders that have helped us, probably with I'd say a 6 to 8 week learning jump, helping us with things like testing or pitching or introductions. It's just how the boys club worked. And so we're just kind of learning that. And I mean, Holly always says it'd be really easy to get investment and customers and whatever if you were just a tech bro with a hoodie. And this is this concept of, it just feels easier for a man to get ahead. And I don't think that's necessarily the true. I think we just don't have the infrastructure and the frameworks. So yeah, like-minded individuals that can support us, groups like this, mini WhatsApp groups, mini meetups, and actually reaching out to other people on Twitter. Like my DMs are always open, Twitter's always open. We have coffees with people all the time. Sometimes it doesn't come to anything, but if we can help you in that moment, then great. If we can help you in 6 months' time, we'll remember and we'll be like, hang on a minute, I know someone that does that, or that's really good at that, or that could do with your help. You know, it's how the world goes and how it gets around. So I feel like I probably went on a bit at the end. I went on a bit of a rant about helping each other, but I think that's probably the biggest thing that's helped, being accepting that you can be a mum, you can be a mother at the same time as being a business owner. And sometimes it's a bit scrappy and a bit raw. A really good COO told us that. She said, stay scrappy and don't worry about it. I think we want it to be perfect, but actually we'll always laugh at the first version of the platform or the first version of the website or the first mailing letter that we do, but not doing it. Inaction's the worst thing. And coming straight back to the problem that Financial is solving with women, it is just overthinking and inaction that delays them. So they pause before investing, which is great, but if you pause indefinitely, it never happens. And it's the same with business. If we overthink something or take our time with it, then, you know, time's lost and you could have failed fast several times after that. So yeah, I think that's really important.